I am here in the lunatic asylum with the guys from Infested Films. You recognize a few of them from our rather interesting experience from the time before. But there's a new project that's coming out called The Black Box. There's something going on. You want to give us some information? Anyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone?
If anyone was a big fan of the old creep shows from years gone by, this is another anthology. It's a series of 4 films brought together by a wraparound story. Everything's interrelated, everything's a lot of fun, and it's absolutely horrific.
Well, and who doesn't love the creep show genre and the trick or treat?
Always fun. Yeah.
Things like that.
Very good.
Yeah, if you could ever say that we actually grew up, we would have grown up with it.
Well, as soon as you lose your inner child, you might as well be dead.
Yeah, no, I love children. I just can't finish a whole one.
A1 sauce, always good. Always good.
That's why he's dark as Jack.
So what else? Do you do 1 story, 2 stories? What are we talking
We did
here?
1 segment in the Black Box.
Yeah. And people want to get more information on Infested Films. Of course, they are the wonderful people behind The Morning After and Theodore. And Freddy and the Goblins as well.
Yeah, that's part of Black Box.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely.
Tear people's faces off.
Yeah, that's right.
And who doesn't love that?
Yeah, no, if you like violence with an axe, if you like violence with a gun, it's all inside of that first segment. And that's just a taste of the entire film that's going to be coming out Friday, October 29th.
Well, you didn't mention there's going to be puppet violence.
There is puppet
I don't know. I don't know.
You might even see a booby.
Definitely a must-see, so make sure you check these guys out. They're going to go far into the cemetery. And any final words from you guys?
And if you're on Facebook, make sure you check out Infested Films on Facebook. We're happy to
Black
see you.
Box movie.
And Black Box.
And we'll probably have it down here on the screen somewhere, too.
Yeah.
Maybe magic of technology.
Right there.
Yes.
It's touchy. I like it.
Something to say about Infested Films?
The contagion is rampant. I doubt we'll make the November elections. From what I understand, the only remedy is trying to drink as much ethanol or antifreeze. Excuse me, but it's over. These guys are fucking maniacs. Just maniacs. I don't even know why you're giving them the time of day. Don't you realize? Look to the skies. Look to the skies.
Let's see. Our top story this evening comes to us from Taiwan. Yes, indeed. A man was so upset about the death of his girlfriend that he climbed inside a morgue freezer to be with her and was only pulled out half alive an hour later. Media and officials say the 41-year-old man was discovered on Monday when workers detected an unusually high temperature in the freezer and realized that the hatch was not securely fastened. A morgue manager opened the hatch, saw 2 people lying inside, felt scared enough to yell out, and then even cried. Yes. Yeah, she didn't stabilize for a very long time. Very shocking. Very shocking. Apparently the man had taken some drugs before he went into the freezer, and it was an apparent suicide attempt. Well, can't let go. You know, what's the old saying? If you can't beat 'em, join 'em. Yes, indeed. All right, let's see what else we have for you this exciting evening. Let's take a trip to Kansas City, shall we? A suburban Kansas City man says he feels fine, even though he shot a nail gun into his head. Yes, a 2.5-inch nail went right through the top of his head. The mishap occurred while George Chandelier of Shawnee, Kansas, and a friend were doing a project in the backyard. The nail gun, the hose, became tangled, causing the powerful tool to fire one nail. Chandler said he told his friends he didn't know where the nail went, but that he felt a sting on the top of his head. Soon they discovered that the nail was driven deep into his head, so they called an ambulance and was rushed to the hospital. Well, the doctor apparently used a common claw hammer to remove the nail. Ooh, I hope it was sterile. And he's very, very lucky to be alive. Well, yes, I guess so, huh? But, you know, with all this high-tech medical equipment, nothing beats a claw hammer. Guaranteed. Works wonders. Works wonders. All right, let's head on down to Florida, shall we? Oakland Park, Florida. A man said he discovered a skeleton inside his overgrown tree that investigators believe has been there since last year. Well, it's rather odd, huh? Glenn Parker said he saw the skeleton in the tree after trimmers had cleared some of the foliage for the Bell South phone line service crew of South Florida. The sheriff's office said the death is believed to have been a suicide with no suspicion of foul play. Parker said authorities are working to determine whether the bones belong to a former roommate of his who disappeared about a year ago. Ooh, exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff. It's like an episode of Law and Order or something. Alright, well, I know you guys have been asking for it, been demanding it. Yes, it's time for some Darkest Hours quickies. Nice and quick, just the way you like it. Yes, indeed. One young shopper at a Wal-Mart in West Virginia had to watch out for more than falling prices. A 12-year-old girl was picking up seedless watermelons from a bin and was stung by a 10-inch-long scorpion that apparently stowed away in a shipment from Mexico. Yes. She was taken to the hospital, and it was not worse than a bee sting. Oh, stowed away from Mexico? I would have thought that came from the pet department. Well, how about India, huh? You've got to see this to believe it. For the last 500 years or so, villagers have been dropping babies off a 50-foot tower in India. Devotees claim that the children don't suffer any ill effects from the fall, which ends on a white sheet. Yeah, they believe if they throw the child from the roof, it does good for him or her. Well, I don't even know what to say to that one. No, that's just so ridiculous. I've got no pun. Let's move on. So let's go to Arkansas, shall we? A man was charged with kidnapping and assaulting his mother. He told police that he got upset when he learned that her dog had killed his pet skunk. Well, the outrage. That's terrible. No wonder I would have assaulted the old bat myself. Police, including SWAT officers, were called to an apartment in Arizona after neighbors reported a fight between a man and a woman that included yelling and breaking items. When they arrived, they found only a 21-year-old man conducting the fight by himself, alternating a high-pitched voice and a low-pitched one. He was referred for medical treatment. Well, talk about getting beside yourself. I mean, if you can't get along with yourself, who can you get along with? Well, that about wraps up the news. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome back, kiddies. We just heard Mankind Is Obsolete off their album Rise, but they have a new album out called Trapped Inside, and here to represent the band is Jon Siren, so please give a nice cold welcome for him. Well, thank you very much, Jon, for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
So, this new album is absolutely mind-blowing. I didn't think you could get better than Rise. Such a perfect album, but you proved me wrong. This is much better and much darker, I feel, than Rise is. So I guess my first question is, does the darkness of the album reflect the atmosphere around the band, or was it just the natural progression of the music?
Yeah, I mean, there's actually, during the writing process, I mean, it was definitely, you know, there was a lot of changes going on within the band, and we were kind of having a lineup change, and you know, just in general, we were tapping more into, I guess, the darker elements that we had in Metamorph, that we didn't have so much in Rise, and we were trying to, in some ways, create something that had those dark elements of Metamorph and mix them with like some of the, I don't know if I should say brighter side of Rise, but you know, kind of blend the two together, but also add something new to the mix as well. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the songs from that album, and in general with our music, tends to come from a darker place, but we try to, I don't know, that seems to be our way of, I guess, you know, dealing with things in a more positive manner, you know, by putting it through music.
Which makes sense. Very cathartic it is,
yeah.
You know, writing music. I've also noticed on this album, again, like with Metamorph, it's much more electronic and industrial.
Right.
But you also blended a lot of the guitar styles from Rise into it. Has that new style or the combination of the two really affected the writing styles or the live performance of the material?
Yeah, I mean, well, part of the guitar emphasis on the new record that we have is that Scott also added a lot to the guitar sound of the new record.
Right.
In the past, I mean, I'm not much of a guitar player, but I wrote a lot of the guitar parts for the first two records.
Oh.
This time I might have written some of the guitar lines, and then Scott would take them to a whole new level because, I mean, that's his main instrument. And then he wrote quite a bit of the guitar lines in some of these songs. Like maybe one of us would come up with a framework for a song, and then, you know, kind of give like a rough idea, like almost have like 80% of the song there. It's sort of mapped out, and he would just come in there and put his guitar touch on there.
One song that I definitely has the tremendous guitar is the title track, Trapped Inside. It's one of my favorites on the album.
Oh, cool.
That one and Parasite as well.
Right on.
Great songs. Now, on tour, how is that going?
Tour's going well. I mean, tour. I've always, I guess, you know, whenever I meet people and they ask me about like touring, I quote the Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Because I mean, that seems to be what tour really is. I mean, you've got these very big high moments, you know, where you're playing in front of a really, you know, solid crowd and everyone's, you know, sharing the same energy. But then you also have like times where it's like, you know, you have maybe a string of bad performances or something like that, or you have, you know, everyone's like kind of tired and hungry and grumpy, and you know what I mean. So, you know, you have like very low moments as well on the road too. Or in our case, I mean, like we've had like a few road situations occur where we've had a couple accidents where we got hit by like a drunk driver, for instance, just recently, and so that can definitely bring down the morale for a moment. But you got to keep yeah, definitely. But you got to keep pushing forward through it all. Nice. So yeah, it's always kind of like that dichotomy going on between like really good and really bad.
One thing that I'm dying to know is this album. The album art is absolutely gorgeous, and I know that you're working with Vincent Marcone from the band Johnny Hollow, also another fantastic band. You should check it out. How'd you get involved with him?
Okay, well, we're actually on a compilation CD with Johnny Hollow called Live It Looking Glass, and it was a magazine that's based out of here in LA, and I was doing some writing for it for a little bit. So that's how I found out about Johnny Hollow. And I know Natasha was looking online and found some of the stuff that he'd done in the past and some of the websites he's designed, and we just became like really fascinated with his artwork and the web design that he'd done, and we were like, you know what, let's really make a conscious effort on this new album to pursue an artist that will grow with the record. We started working with Vincent as we started writing for the album.
Nice.
I mean, he mainly heard Rise and only a couple demos from the new album, and so we decided to throw that at him and just say, when you listen to this music, what comes to mind, and visually. And so and he threw like a couple different ideas, and the artwork that you see now is sort of what developed out of it.
Oh, that's excellent. And I hope that you keep working with him on album covers.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I would like to have like a level, I guess, of consistency. It would be really cool to work with Vincent again, because I'm really fond of the stuff that he does. So.
Excellent. As far as the 11 tracks that are on this album, do you have a particular favorite, one that's close to your heart, or just one that's a lot of fun to play?
I like picking up the Scab a whole lot. I think maybe just because that was a song that I wrote like a long time ago. Actually, like right out of high school, I wrote that one. It went through some changes, but and we developed it into something else. Some of the lyrics changed a little bit, but yeah, I think that one, especially live, is really fun to play. I mean, I also like, there's so many that I like playing live as well, though, too. Pretty much all of them. I can't really think of one that I'm not as fond of playing live, and we pretty much play most of the record. There's a couple that we haven't really touched live yet too much. We might have played them once or twice, and we still haven't quite figured out how to put them in maybe in a live setting, but for the most part, I'd say probably Scab is one of my favorites.
Nice. One last question for you. What musical legacy would you like Mankind Is Obsolete to leave on the dark alternative scene?
Well, I definitely want a song that just really connects with people. I mean, that's sort of my ultimate goal. I mean, I want something that kind of universally, moves people. That's been the biggest goal of mine as a musician, as an artist, as a songwriter, is to create that one song that just seems to, shake the world a little bit.
Right.
So that's my goal.
Well, and if you keep going this way, I'm sure you're going to achieve it.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for dropping by and letting us dissect you.
Cool.
Are there any epitaph that you would like to leave?
Be cool, stay in school, don't do drugs, be nice to your mom and dad.
I think that's very well said. Well, hopefully we can get you guys back in here and do an actual undead performance for us.
Yes, we're definitely overdue for that.
Absolutely. And for all of you out there, make sure you get Trapped Inside. The new Mankind Is Obsolete. And if you haven't heard Rise, make sure you pick that one up as well. Just do it. Jack told you to, so do it. Bats Day. It's when dark alternative people from all over our wicked globe descend en masse on Anaslime, California, for a day at the happiest place on Earth. The day before is a marketplace known as the Black Market. We decided to drop in for a visit. The many friendly children of the night. There was much to see, and vendors galore. There were some of the creepiest dolls I've ever seen, from Bassett 2329. Just look at the fiendish detail, fang-tastic stuff. For the fashionable, in need of something for their cranium, there were hats to die for by Crystal Blue. Absolutely breathtaking. That reminds me, I need a new top hat after that goblin attack. But I digress. Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab was there providing the finest in aromatics. They must be smelled to be believed. Intoxicating. And for the young and the young at heart, check out these colorful and cutely demented fellows. Designed by My Vicious Boutique. Don't you just want to hug them? Among the many artists, we found our fiend, the insanely talented Eric Piggers. I'm sure you recognize his work. Nothing conveys that Halloween spirit quite like this delightful bunch. And look, he has a book too. And what a book it is. The Black Market and the Bats Day weekend have far too much phantasmagoric fun for us to cover in this small segment. It is a must-attend event. Check out batsday.net for the gory details. I'm already looking forward to next year. I expect to see you there. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the creeps at home?
Hi, I'm Clint Carney, and this is my art.
And fantastic art it is. It's the kind that I like, nice and dark and disturbing. I especially like this piece over here.
Thank you.
So what inspires you, art-wise?
Well, I'm a big horror nerd, and I just love all things horror, and I'm a bit of a weirdo, and this is just the shit that occurs to me. So I just have these things going through my head, and I draw them out, and there they are. You know?
Hey, and
I'm just a weirdo. You know,
well,
what can I say?
If you don't get them out of here, it can lead to trouble. So it's good that you got somewhere to put them. Is there a particular favorite piece that you have here at the convention?
Yeah, this piece, the one you pointed out, that's my favorite. That's at the show right now. This was used in the European cover of my last album for my band, System Sin. It's also on the disc art for that album for the U.S. release as well. So
you're also the band, System Sin. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Thanks so much.
So musically, what's going on with you?
I am with System Sin. I'm working on a new single right now, which will be out at the end of next year. I've got some great remixers on there, 16 volt, SMP, got some Penal Colony, a bunch of guys on there. So many, I can't even think of all the names right now. And then there'll be a couple new songs on that single as well. And then both Imperative Reaction and God Module, my other two bands, are working on new albums right now, which will be out next year. And then also a new System 10 album out later next year. So then there'll be a ton of touring with all three bands, and then I'll sleep in 2012.
Very nice. But I was about to say, how do you keep up with the art as well as the music?
Lots of coffee.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah.
Some Monster, you know. But is there any specific emotion that you want to capture as far as artistically?
Piece to piece, yeah. I think a lot of times I'll have something in mind, or a feeling that I want to convey onto the canvas. So I mean, this is more about frustration and things falling apart around you, that sort of a thing. So hence the title, Falling Apart. So same with this piece, which I like a lot. I was able to, I feel with that one I captured the exact emotion that I wanted to from it, which is why I like it so much. Because a lot of times you'll set out to do a certain thing in a painting, and although it might look cool or whatever, it doesn't necessarily convey what you want it to. That's like elusive thing, trying to capture an emotion with on the canvas. So every once in a while it works out, and I'm stoked, and then sometimes it doesn't, and it is what it is.
Absolutely. And as far as the emotions, does your art tie in with the music at all? I mean, as far as
sometimes it does, yeah. Sometimes like if you look at the last System 10 album, there's artwork throughout. All the booklet art ties in quite a bit into the theme of the album and what's going on there. Some of it was painted before I began work on the album, but because they were painting about things and writing about things that are going on with me, they kind of merged and kind of had a cohesive feel to it. And then others I painted specifically to be a part of the album. So
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us. You are an incredible artist and musician. And where can the ghouls at home, if they don't already know, where can they find you on the internet and see your work and hear your music? And
let's see, on the interwebs, you can find my art at clintcarney.com and my music at systemsend.com.